Ladies and gentlemen, my name is askcsradical, and it's been a year since he's been gone. Today marks now a full year since we lost John Bain, also known as TotalBiscuit. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. Some ways it feels like it's been longer. Some ways it feels like it's been days. It's one of those events that, it just sticks. I've been very fortunate to be 31 years on this planet and have not really had to deal with a lot of death that's actually like truly affecting. But his was definitely one that that really hit. And it's only magnified further because I realized just before I was going to make this video that I never did say something the day that he actually passed. That I never said anything. Never wrote an article, never made a video. And that truly frustrates me thinking about that now. And I don't know why. It's not like it was a matter of inactivity or anything like that. But it really does bother me thinking that I never said anything about him when he did pass. And now it's been a full year, and I feel like if there's any time to do it, this is the time to do it. So for me, I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was leaving high school and heading into college. I was just kind of all over the place. I ended up just picking broadcasting and television just because it was the one class that I took in high school that I happened to like. It's if I'd known what I was going to do ahead of time, things would have been totally different. But this is kind of the path that I took. And I didn't really have a wherewithal or even like a place that I felt like I was in. So I just kind of retreated to what I knew would always be there for me, and that was gaming. Gaming has forever been my comfort food in life. And right around that time, I started actually paying attention to YouTube. And I don't know how I came across TB in the first place. I don't know if it was his channel directly or if it had been the Game Station podcast. I know that the Game Station podcast was an early part of things with me, but I'm not 100% sure where it started. I wish I could go back on YouTube and click on a channel and be like, what's the first video I saw of them? And maybe that would give me a hint on what it was. But I couldn't remember for the life of me what I saw first, nor even how I got onto him in the first place. Don't know. But all I know is that it didn't take very long for TB to really sink his claws into me and really affect me in a very positive way. Without him, flat out, I would not have any interest in doing what I've been on and off doing for years now, for almost a decade. I may be still a nobody in the entirety of this time that I've spent doing this stuff, and it is what it is. It's always been a hobby for me, but without him, I have no interest in podcasting. I have no interest in YouTube. I have no interest in doing anything like this. It was right around the time that I started watching the Game Station podcast that a friend of mine from high school just randomly posted on Facebook saying, hey, so excited to start a podcast with my friend so-and-so, and, that was it. And I'm thinking, I know they're going to talk about games because that's all they talk about. And I just kind of just quickly message and be like, hey, you got room for one more? I really like the idea of this. And it just moved on from there. We did, must have been 30, 40, almost 50 episodes. And then that kind of went away because he went out to Halifax. I stayed where I was. And I started doing things solo. That's when I started experimenting with YouTube, try to figure out where I stood and things. And over the last, I guess you could say almost a decade, it's just been a weird mishmash of trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And here we are again with umpteenth attempt at doing something with this. And here we are. But at the end of the day, like I said, TB was the spark. A lot of people will say that he was an influence on them, and I'm definitely one of them. He really is the utmost reason that I ever decided to really take a critical stance on things. I never really thought too deep into how games worked, how games were being developed, all the ethical stuff behind things. I never really thought about it. My brain was just always in that mode of, I want to play this game, I go play the game, and don't even think about anything else, regardless of what's going on in the background. Now with him, it gave me a whole different view of things and made me think about a lot of things that I never had even thought to even question the idea of thinking about. So just that alone really got me into a critical thinking state of mind that has kind of carried on with me ever since and has flip flopped all over the place, obviously, since, but the core of it has always remained the same. I've always taken an ethical approach to things. I've always tried to look at things from both points of view if I can. I've tried to no longer just accept the things that we're being told or the things that are being, just delivered to us. I don't have to say yes to everything. I don't have to accept everything that we're given. And because of his unwillingness to just kowtow to whatever major developers are doing, whatever, major gaming outlets are doing, whatever coverage that he's allowed to get or not allowed to get, or when developers try to copy strike his channel to hell because they didn't like something he said, and he was unwilling to let them dictate what he said. And that obviously works to a positive and a negative. I mean, I never agree with everything that he said. I still have a bit of a sore spot from what happened with the CoxCon situation. And I'm not going to go into depth of that because it's not the point here, but you know what it is. There's always been rough patches with everybody. But at the end of the day, it didn't allow me to just suddenly be like, well, I'm not going to watch him anymore. I watched the Co-Optional podcast every single week for, oh my God, from the time that I think I watched at least a full year of Game Station and carried over, and I didn't stop until, obviously the final podcast that was essentially their eulogy to him. And I haven't watched one since. I've still subscribed, and I see every single time they put one up, I see it. And I have not been able to get myself to watch it. And it's not because I don't like Jenna, I don't like Dodger, I don't like Jesse. That's not the case. I love all three of them, but I guess without him, it's weird to see it without him like that. And it's not, when your favorite band, like the bassist goes away or they change singers or whatever, like you can still enjoy the music. And I think if TB had just if somehow things had just gotten rough patches with them and he'd left and they just kind of carried on, then yeah, it would be a little bit different. I think I'd still be watching the show. But because he passed and because it was a hole in that show that was created not based on friction between people, it was done because he's straight up gone. And I'm probably not the only one, but it's for whatever reason I've been unable to watch the show since. And it's not that I don't want to, and I keep wanting to try to, and every time I look at it I just can't get myself to click. And I've kind of come to the conclusion that it's not because I don't want to watch, it's because I'm afraid that if I do, it's going to make me hate the show because I'm going to just remember that he's not there. I kind of just use the notification that a new episode of the Co-Optional podcast is up as a reminder that he's gone, because I don't want to forget him. And it's very easy to forget people that we lose. I mean, there are a lot of people that have been gone, especially in that year a couple of years ago, and we lost a lot of major names. I've already forgotten a good chunk of them. And the only reason that I'm remembering some of them is because I'm just recalling it all now. I don't want to ever forget his memory, because he honestly might just be one of the most influential people when it comes to how I shape myself in the years that I really evolved the most. I left high school still very much the same person I was going in, because I was really sheltered and I really didn't take the opportunity to explore things and really try to find my better self. It wasn't until really when I graduated college that I finally really started pushing myself forward into what I am today. And the biggest part that has changed since that overturn of college is, like I said earlier, my critical thinking and my unwillingness to back down on things. And that is a 100% TotalBiscuit causation. There are other people, obviously, that contributed to it, but he is the one at the front of the pack. He is the leader and the one in charge. Without him, I don't think I become the person that I am today. There are obviously a lot of people that contributed to it, but at least in this aspect of YouTube and blogging and podcasting and all that stuff, he is the cornerstone of all the influencers that I've seen over the years. And now we have been a full year without him, and it's... I said it to my friends earlier, since he's been gone, there's been a hole in the industry, the games industry specifically, and not only do I think that hole is still there, I don't even feel like it started to be filled. I don't think that anybody has stepped up to take that spot, and it might just be because nobody wants to. But at least in my opinion, I feel like the hole that he left when he's passed away, it's not only there, but it's unchanged. I have yet to see somebody, when it comes to the games industry specifically, that has done exactly what he does, or at least done something similar that I can say, hey, like, okay, here's the guy that I'm going to start, watching for now. I don't have that person since he's left. In the 365 days, I have not subscribed to a new channel that I feel is remotely like what he accomplished. And I'm not talking numbers. I'm just talking just the pure critical, I'm trying to think of how to say this. In terms of just being a very stand-up guy and reviewing things properly and taking a unbiased, objective look at things. And obviously he was biased in certain things, but I mean, when it came to the stuff that mattered, he took all approaches and came out with what should have been the right response. 9 times out of 10, I was 100% behind him. And that's because he wasn't just, taking the immediate side on something. He did his job. He did his research, and he found where he stood and knew that there was nothing to change his mind on that. And that's the kind of stuff that I really appreciate, because it's something that you don't find very often, because people are very quick to just turn the other cheek at certain people, or just, bend over backwards for the people that they think can get a little bit more famous out of it. It's been a full year. I can't believe it's been that long. I'm still very upset at myself for not saying anything last year. I really don't understand why I didn't. I really miss him. I just finished watching, before I made this video, this is also a large part of why I made it, I watched the documentary The Different Level put out, and I will link that in the description for anybody who hasn't seen it. And it jogged a lot of memories back into my head, and there's a lot of stuff that I really do miss. I miss a lot of the fun that him, Jesse, and Dodger specifically would just cause, the hijinks they got up to, the stupid stuff that those three folks did. All the really, really interesting stories that came up, all the hot takes that he took, and fighting back against some of the most ridiculous shit in the industry that he had to deal with. And it feels so weird still to this day that I don't get to see that. I think that's where I'm going to end it. I really miss him. I hope that that Jenna's doing well. I wish I could find out. I mean, I haven't seen a show in a year. Yeah, I can't say much else other than that. I really miss the guy. And I don't think there's going to be anybody able to fill that spot. I don't think it's possible. I think the only hope we have is that somebody can just hope to be just somewhat like him, because I don't think anybody can be the guy that he was. There's only going to be one TB. And I wish he was still here.